I'm Myra.
And I'm Danica, and this is Black Women Healing Podcast. And on this podcast, you can join us every Monday where we have raw, relatable conversations about mental wellness.
And we push you to do the work.
Let's heal. This is Black Women Healing Podcast.
Y'all, so I have to tell you about this women-owned brand with nearly a decade of 100% human hair wig expertise. You may have heard of it. It's a pretty popular brand called Love Me Hair. Me and Danica recently had the chance to check out Love Me Hair, and we are absolutely in love with it. We love the fact that it is a brand that focuses on empowering women of all ages and backgrounds. But most of all, let's get into this product. So the product that I got, we both got separate wigs. It's pretty low maintenance. I got a hairband one where you put it on, you just attach a hairband to it, and it looks so natural. I absolutely love it. The best thing about Love Me Hair, though, is their affordability, and they offer a little bit of everything. So it's high quality, natural, glueless, the HD lace, easy to install. Like I said, I got the headband one. Completely comfortable wigs, various cap sizes. It has become my go-to brand, if I'm being quite honest. And so I really encourage y'all to check out Love Me Hair. Again, I love my products. Danica loves hers. And when I share with my friends about Love Me Hair, they're like, already buy from there. So anyway, check it out. Love is spelled Luvme hair. And to get a special discount for the next month, you're going to use code BWH27. And that'll get you a nice little discount off. And it lasts for about a month. So you want to buy it sooner rather than later. Again, it is great hair. I love it. And I just love that they have so many different types of options, from the price point options to the color of the hair to the different styles. So please check it out. Love Me Hair.
Hey y'all, we're back with another episode of Black Women Healing Podcast. And if y'all haven't noticed, we're keeping these Mondays going. So we have another guest today. But before we introduce the guest, we're gonna start with our new segment, This or That. And something I was thinking about, because I am a foodie. If y'all been listening, y'all know. But I wanted to ask the ladies today if they prefer sweets or savory foods. When I think of savory, I think of more like salt, like saucy type of thing. When I think of sweets, I think of ice cream, candy, cupcakes. So, Myra, what are you thinking of? What do you like most?
Sweets. And I wasn't even thinking like candy or cupcakes, because if you know me, you know I cannot eat all the candy if you give it to me. Like my boyfriend always makes a joke, like he'll buy me candy on Sunday and I don't finish it till the next Sunday. Like I eat it very slow. But when it comes to like my coffee, I like that sweet. Even like tea, like when people give me herbal tea, I'm like, no, I gotta add sugar to it and like honey, and like I love sweet things. Not too sweet though, but it's something about sweet things just make me feel happy. I don't know what it is. What about you, Danica?
I mean, yeah, I'm a sweets. Give me the sweets. I do like when I think of the savory piece, I like salt and vinegar chips, which when I was a kid I used to think they was disgusting. And my mom stayed buying them. She knew nobody was gonna touch them because they was gross to us as
Now you
kids.
touching them.
But now
I love
give
those
me
chips.
some salt and vinegar chips, all different kinds. Like if I see salt and vinegar or anything, I'll be like, let me try that. But so I do like the savory, but sweets, like I love a like ice cream, Haagen-Dazs, pistachio, vanilla bean. Give me the ice cream, and cakes and stuff. It's a bit excessive. I try my best. But I really do like the sweets. What
Also,
about
what
you,
does
Kenisha?
savory even
Oh,
mean,
sorry, go
though?
ahead. What'd you say, Myra?
What does savory even mean? Like, I never understood that definition.
I mean, it sounds like it could be interpreted because when I think of it, like I said, I think of like saucy or like a salty type of thing. I don't know.
Yeah, when you
I
think
don't
of
know.
in terms of this or that, you would infuse the word savory, but I really don't know. Because I like to
Yeah.
savor those sweet things. So,
Every time
Ooh.
I hear the word savory, it's always in reference to breakfast foods like French toast, pancakes that have like
I,
toppings on it. That's why I
yeah,
never really understood what it meant.
Huh.
that's a good question.
Yeah. I just did a
You
little
landed on
Google.
something.
Right, little Google. They actually said roasted chicken, grilled vegetables, pasta with garlic and olive oil, cheese and charcuterie boards.
I don't know who wrote that.
What? It says
Oh, so
okay. It says bowl of
classic.
pasta with nice marinara sauce. Marinara sauce. That's what I think of, like that type of,
It's saucy.
or even like garlic bread. It says here, but it's because it's like your mouth. I can't. That's bad. I'm thinking like
Like a
that's
mouth
salty,
watering,
that's
savory,
savory.
best
Yeah.
thing ever.
It sounds something that you to think of the flavor after is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Because bread is bread until you add the garlic butter or whatever you add to it. That's what makes it savory. Is what I'm understanding.
I
But
should
you
have
can
said. I should
um,
have said
mm,
sweet or sour.
greens can be savory.
I
Greens
just
can
have to
be savory.
know.
I'm just
Anything can
saying.
be savory at this point. At this point, anything could be savory. And I meant to say, y'all, sweet or sour. That's what I meant to say. That's what it is.
I need. Oh, that's funny. Well,
But
in that case, I'm a sweet girl.
you're a sweet.
Yeah, I'm a country girl, so I like it sweet. You know, we're the ones we put sugar in our spaghetti. Like we like it sweet. So
What's your favorite sweet?
red velvet cupcakes.
Ooh.
Mm. No, not even just cupcakes, just red velvet. Just oof. Like, I gotta try it. Like I gotta find out. Is it comparing to what I like?
Mm.
It sounds savory because you said not just cupcakes, red velvet cupcakes. Because the cupcakes will be
Very
regular.
true.
If you make it
Yeah,
savory.
Savory.
this
I'm
is
learning
true.
something. I'm
The
learning here.
buttercream icing.
Yeah, look at with the butter. Yeah, look at us learning something today. Um, stop, Myra. But thank you so much for engaging in a this or that with us. And so I'm going to go ahead and introduce our guest. So today we have Kenisha Nichelle. She is a resilient daughter, wife, mother, and friend, and has triumphed over personal pain and tragedy, forging a life centered on purpose and people. Renowned in the sports of industry, her expertise in mega events and operations has left an indelible mark on organizations like the Miami Dolphins, Miami Heat, Orange Bowl Committee, Super Bowl Committee, and more. Kenisha, driven by her God-given purpose, founded Game Changers, united to revolutionize the sports industry by creating safe spaces for athletes and administrators to address life's challenges both mentally and spiritually. Additionally, she established Brighter Tomorrow Foundation, Inc., aiming to provide practical resources for those grappling with grief. Join Kenisha in navigating life challenges, embracing the present, and strengthening your relationship with God. Wow, that is a beautiful bio. You've been doing a lot. And so today, mainly, you all, we're going to be talking about faith, loss, and resilience, and rebuilding after life-altering experiences, which, as you can hear, Kenisha has some experience in. So we like to start off with defining things. As you can see, we needed to figure out what savory meant earlier. So we're going to start off with, how would you personally define grief?
Oof. My definition that I use when speaking with clients is grief is the heart taking its time to catch up with what the mind already knows. And I say that because we physically, we get the phone call and we've lost our loved one. And so, of course, in the Black community, we all rally around. What can we do? Everybody's coming to the house and bringing food and the infamous box of chicken and all of the things, right? And we go through the services. You have your wake and the funeral and all those things. So you physically have went through the process. Your mind is aware that you've gone through the process, but now your heart is really just it can't quite understand. My mama's not here no more. My daddy's not here anymore. My sister's not here anymore. And so I think grief is that delay that your heart just needs to catch up with what you physically already know in your mind.
Wow. I've never heard it that way. I'm happy that we asked you to define it because at first I was like, we know what grief is. But then I think it's always that reminder of grief can be defined in different ways by different people. And even
Yeah.
just hearing you saying it's the heart taking its time to catch what the mind already knows, I think that's a gentle reminder for those people who are like, it's already been a year, or it's already been 2 years, or they're putting these timestamps on it, when it's like, give yourself
Can't do
that
that.
grace, because it's your heart catching up to what your mind, already knows. I really appreciate hearing you say that. And so as we shift, I want to ask about some practical tools that can be supportive of people who maybe are wherever they are in their grief journey, because you can be anywhere at any point,
Anywhere. Yeah.
but wanting some tools to help folks out.
Sure. So real practical, just top of mind. One, the easiest is just to be there, because if you have not walked the walk of that particular loss, you want to support your friend, you want to be there for them, but you may not quite understand. And so a lot of times I tell clients too, don't fault the people for not getting it and not understanding, because unless they walk this walk and walk this journey, then it's really hard to really truly understand. They can empathize because they see that you're hurting. So I tell people, just be there, and of course, like when the funeral is over and time starts to move on, people go back to their regular lives, right? And so you're left with still trying to process and just adjust to this new normal. So if you have to put a reminder in your phone for every Sunday to send a text message or a FaceTime call to your girlfriend to say, hey, I'm just thinking about you. How are you? Is there anything that you need? Then you can do that. Maybe you're not in a position where you can go to their home and be there physically. And even if you are in the same city, you can still just do that quick check-in, because you don't know if somebody else has done that. You don't know perhaps what the week has been like, what they've been met with. And so sometimes just doing that check-in, we're in the world now where you can just send, food, right? So you can just, hey, it's Sunday. I just wanted to send you an Uber Eats delivery, or I wanted to Instacart you, some of your favorite things. Those are the practical things that I think people forget about when you're going through grief. So you can always keep that in your back pocket. Always keep gift cards, things like that. We don't want to think about the necessities. We still gotta perhaps go to work. We have children, there are other things that we have to be responsible for. So let's take the burden off in other areas. So that's something very easy, practical for the person on the outside. For the person who's actually grieving, staying connected in community, because again, if you aren't able to connect with someone in your life, in your world that has gone through this, then it may feel like you're going through it by yourself. You're isolated. And so I believe that there is relatability in community. So if I can get in an environment, an online community or Facebook group where other people are sharing what they're going through, then perhaps I feel like I'm not going through this by myself. The things that I am feeling, I can relate, or I thought that this was like weird. And then in fact, somebody else is experiencing it too. So I think there's comfort with being in communities with other people. And then number three, as it relates to the grace that you should give yourself, especially, I say this, especially for those who are navigating through the first year, is your own self-care. And, you can personally define what that looks like. But especially for the first year, you want to be very sensitive to not overburdening yourself, setting boundaries. That is what self-care looks like. It's not just going to get a massage, which you can do that too. But it's not just that. It's, filling up your cup. It's doing the little things. It's laying in the bed and binge watching a show because you want to disconnect your mind from reality. Like, those are the type of things that you can do to fill yourself up, so fill yourself back up, because you do have to go back into the world and be a spouse, be a parent, be an employee, be an entrepreneur if you have your own business. So take the time to fill up where you can so that you can do the things that you are responsible for doing.
I appreciate you touching on both sides of like how to support oneself, and then how to support, people within your community. Because oftentimes I feel like when we are talking about grief, you oftentimes will hear people saying, well, I just don't know like what to do, when there
Mm.
are simple things like you said that you can do. And now with the power of technology, you can even schedule a
I
text message if
mean,
you wanted to, right? Like,
anything.
there's
Anything,
it's so
for real. Like, it's wild. Like, none of this existed when I was going through, you know. 2007, there was no Uber Eats. There, what? No, So we're in a world now, thankfully, that it's made things easier. But it also on the flip side has made things easier to the point where you could do these things and maybe you just don't think about them. So, it's a catch-22. It's simple. You can click on your phone, you can take care, especially, if you love them and they're important to you, you should be able to just tap in and be able to support in the best way that you can.
Yes, totally agree. And so we like for our guests to, be a little bit relatable. So as much as you feel comfortable thinking about
Sure.
your grief journey and also the work that you do with Brighter Tomorrow Foundation and your other organization, just thinking about that journey in the mix of just life, what has been the toughest part of your journey and how do you feel like you've overcome it or you're working through it currently?
Um, that's a great question, Myra. So the toughest part was just, how do I even bounce back? I was so young. I was 21 when I was declared an orphan. I had already lost my father beforehand. So the toughest part was then, I think it's kind of a two-part answer for you. So then was the toughest part because, again, I'm 21. I haven't done anything more than graduate high school. I was in college, no family, no kids, no career, like no nothing. And so I'm just like, I'm in this big old world by myself. Like, how in the world am I supposed to do this? How, like, there's no guide. And, in hindsight, you think at 21, you think you know everything, right? We acted like our parents, they don't know what they're talking about. But in this particular space, I wish that I had the guidance. Even if I may have said I didn't want it, there's a comfort in knowing that it's there. It's a comfort in knowing that if I run into a situation, I can call my mother and get some advice if, I decide to do that. So I didn't have the security of that. And so that was to me the difficult part because I didn't know. And I just kind of had to feel my way through, like blindly, like, okay, I'll go back to school and we'll see how this goes because, I'm sure they won't want me to finish school. And I did that. But then I didn't do it the right way and ended up in a situation where my pain was so bad that I felt like taking my life. And so I got to that point, and then that's a whole, situation in and of itself. But that's because I didn't have the proper tools or the guidance, so to speak, of how to get back on track after losing, my parents. And it turned into a supervisor who told me I couldn't go home for a long weekend to see my family because I went to school an hour away from my hometown, and that turned into the pin that burst the bubble. That I just felt like, okay, listen, I don't know what I'm doing. Clearly these people are not going to help me, so let me just go ahead and check out. And I tried, but I'm thankful to God that he said no, I'm not going to allow this to be the end. And so he, saved me from that situation. But in essence, that was the difficult, part of my journey. I would say fast forward, I'm probably in the thick of the other part now because I am a mom to a daughter, and she's 11. And so I am right there in the trenches of helping her and developing her and walking through this journey with her. And so I've got a zillion questions, and I'm just, again, blindly trying to feel my way through. What is it like to, raise her? She's on the cusp of, starting womanhood and all of those things. And so um, that is a challenge right now. My therapist is on standby. She's very much aware. I'm calling you today, just so we're clear. I may have graduated from all of my other issues, but best believe, don't you take me off roster because I'm on my way back. So that one right there, that's tough. This is very tough. I can't even sugarcoat that. But I'm grateful for the tools that I have. I'm grateful for what I did learn along the way. And I'm grateful that God is really just guiding me because that's the only other way that I'm going to be able to get through this part of the journey.
Wow. Thank you for being transparent there. I'm curious. because I am in so many conversations and I'm in thought too of what it means to be raising a daughter when you don't have a present mom, right? Like whether it be your
Same
mom is
thing.
alive and not present or
Right.
whether your mom passed away. And so
Yeah.
I'm curious, what is something that you find yourself telling yourself along that journey that you feel keeps pushing you? Like something I tell myself is, you figured out many things, you can figure this out. Like I say that like all the
Mhm.
time. So I'm curious what you tell yourself through this journey.
I had a moment where I just kind of popped up the camera and, did a video for social. And I told, my followers, if you will, I said, we're made to do hard things.
Mm.
And, when I said it in the moment, it was more so just to share encouragement. But when I kind of dissected it and just kind of sat with that, like, no, Kenisha, this is nothing new, right? You have not had it easy. And so you are built to do hard things because God is going to give you the tools. Even when you feel weak, that's when He's made strong. And so, even in the hard times and the things that you feel are hard, remember that you're not doing this alone. That even if you feel alone because mom isn't here, you still have a present help. That at any point you can just cry out and say, God, help me. God, I need you. I don't know what I'm doing. And then allow the Spirit to just be a guide from there. So, I tell myself nothing is as hard as that first story that I shared with you. I don't think anything that's going to come my way is going to compare to that hard. And so if I have been able to pick up the pieces from then surely enough, some way, somehow, I can get through this too.
Definitely. Yes, thank you so much for giving us more insight into your connection with grief. And yeah, and getting personal.
Mhm.
So considering your experience with grief and all these beautiful things that you're doing, a mom, you have, Brighter Tomorrow Foundation. How do you manage that in addition to the work that you do?
So I do work full time in sports. I am a sports executive on top of all of the other stuff. But I mean, you could say balance, but I don't think that that's like a real word. I don't think that that exists. I think we just do. We just figure it out. But to add context, to your question, I I prioritize and I do my best to carve out time, specific times on specific days to do things. So, for example, like I thankfully my job, we do work as a hybrid. We only go into the office 2 days out of the week. So while I'm still working from home and doing my work, I still have the flexibility to kind of maneuver things around and do other things. The evenings are my friends. I try to do a lot of things in the evening time. I'm a night owl anyway, so I like to work at night. So that does allow me the time to do my things. But right now, to be very, very honest, I've dialed back a lot of things because I am guilty of the ones of trying to have so many different projects that if something's going to suffer if you don't tend to the one thing. And so I was very intentional with 2024, like the year as a whole, at least starting out, that I just wanted to focus on one thing. Because to your point, trying to juggle a regular full-time job plus being a mom, a wife, a friend, and all of those things, like I was feeling overwhelmed. And I get to a place where if I start to feel overwhelmed, I'll just shut everything down and don't do anything. And I'm
Mm.
like, that's counterproductive too, because I want to produce, I want to help, I want to be a resource, but I'm allowing my personal overwhelm because I've chosen to do too much to then stop somebody else from receiving a blessing or receiving a word, if you will, from something that I would like to share. And so this year, I was very intentional of just scrapping everything and said, what is the one thing that I can focus on that's not going to burden me, that I can be consistent with? And that's opportunities like this, just to being able to share, just doing more of being transparent, sharing myself, talking about the stuff that people don't want to share on social because it's hard to share, but you have to share because, again, that's the relatability. And so this year has really been more of that. So you've if you guys follow me on Instagram, Kenisha Nichelle, you'll see there's a lot of inspirational moments that I just want to share, talking about grief, talking about motivation, like how do you pick up the pieces? How do you keep going? What do you do when, people are telling you one thing, like, all of those different things. And then even my personal moments. I've had moments where I've missed my mom and I invited people to experience that. Even the tears. I've invited people to experience that because I don't want you to feel like you're by yourself. So I say all that to say, just prioritizing for me is the main thing, but also not stretching myself so thin to where I cannot adequately, put myself and do what I need to do for my family, my child, my job, and these additional endeavors.
Yeah, no. I mean, as you were talking about this, I was like, because I mean, in LA, living out here in LA, I'm from Kentucky, so it's
You are.
smaller. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky.
I'm from
Where are you from?
Louisville, Kentucky. Okay,
Really?
one more question. Where'd you go to school? I'm sorry.
Well, I went to University of Kentucky my freshman year, then I went to University of Louisville for the remainder of my 3. I've been living out here since 2015, though. But wow, oh my goodness.
I
So
started at the University of Kentucky. When I lost my mom, I transferred to the University of Louisville.
really,
What year?
I went there 2012 to 2015.
Okay, you're behind me. Okay. So I
Okay.
graduated I graduated in '09.
Oh, okay.
I was
Yeah.
like, what?
So by the time I was there, you probably was heading out.
Yeah, I moved to Miami for good in 2009.
Oh
But I
wow.
did
So
it anyway.
you was gone.
But I went to Manual. Where'd you go?
I went to Iroquois, which is very different. But
I know Iroquois. Oh my gosh.
yeah, yeah,
Where'd you
no.
grow up? I grew up in Fern Creek.
I grew up in South Louisville, so like that area by Manual, like that, over
Yeah.
there. Yeah, I know. Okay.
I'm sorry, podcast listener. I'm like, wait a
I
minute.
know it is that's very different. You don't meet a lot of people from Louisville, so you get what I'm saying when it's like this small town mentality, right? Very small.
Yeah.
It's very slow, right? So then
Heck
you move to
yeah.
places like for you, Miami, me, LA, and
Same thing. We had to go.
everybody's doing so much though. When you talk to somebody, they'll be like you're never going to meet somebody. Let me not never say never. You're rarely going to meet someone
Rare.
who has one thing that they're doing. They're like, oh yeah, I got a hair brand, I got this, like this and this and that, and it's just like, yo, we can't do. It's literally impossible to give yourself 100% to all of these different things. It's impossible,
Yeah.
And so hearing you say that of you being like, okay, I have to focus on something, one thing, because when I spread myself thin, something gets lost in the sauce or you're not applying yourself the way you want
Yeah.
to. So I appreciate you saying that. And so you definitely get it.
Oh, definitely. Like, and you know what? I'm glad you actually emphasized that because I've often felt guilty of like being multifaceted. And somebody
Mm,
explained to me a couple of years ago, they was like, well, think about Jesus. Jesus was a carpenter and he was a minister and he healed and he did. So it's okay to have all of those different functions. It's okay for us to have all these gifts and talents, but you have to know how to properly steward it. And that's
mm,
where I failed because I'm thinking I got to do it all. I got to do it all. I got to do this. If I don't get it done now, it's never gonna get done. And if I don't do it because I don't trust nobody, then it ain't gonna get done either. And so I was like, slow down. Let's slow down, and then let's do this the right way. And I mean, this year has been amazing. Again, I think this is more of just kind of the groundwork. Being able to tap into all the things that I have been doing and overwhelmed myself with. But this year is just kind of, let's just be consistent with one thing. Let's put our full weight on one thing and let's just see how it goes. If you can put all of your effort and all of your energy on one thing, then you can see the fruits of that. You can see the manifestations of it growing and blossoming. And it's hard
it
because
is.
I get right back like a couple of months, well, not even a couple of months ago. It's only March, only May, but like last month, I was just like, okay, but I need to go ahead and do this. And I was like, you said you were going to do one thing. Slow
Mm.
down. I felt myself getting back into the doing. And it's like, no, be obedient to the one thing and let's see how far that goes.
Yes, I love the internal self-talk. And
Hard.
so you have Brighter Tomorrow Foundation Inc., which is you've established. And so how can people learn more about it? And like, can you tell us a little bit more about what it even is?
Yeah. So Brighter Tomorrow Foundation, it's kind of morphed through the years, but I started it honestly when COVID started. I had lost my job at the time. Again, I was working in sports and everything was shut down, so it wasn't a lot that I could do at the time. But obviously, watching the news and seeing us lose so many people to COVID, I felt a need to want to help. And, I was talking to a mentor and he was just like, well, what is the one thing that you can talk about and you can do that doesn't require you to Google? And he said that because there's so many of these influencers that are just Googling something and now they're the expert. And so I said, well, grief. I'm like, I've survived that. I've come through it. I can talk about it. I know what it is. And so that kind of started me on the path of becoming a certified life coach and, getting more speaker training and things. And then, of course, establishing the organization. And so it has shifted, but now I have landed on the Brighter Tomorrow Foundation, simply just being a place to offer tools and resources for those who are experiencing or grappling with grief to literally find their brighter tomorrow. And I use the play on words because, right now, today, we may not feel that. We may not feel that life can go on. We may not feel like there's anything left. But if you're willing to do the work, you can live again. You can have a brighter tomorrow. I don't know when your tomorrow may be, but you can have a brighter tomorrow if you're willing to just understand that it's going to take work. It's going to take intentionality on your part to want to get to a better place. And I say all the time too, we never forget. We never, like, people think if you start to heal, then you may start to forget them. Like, you may not even remotely, because I still have moments, I'm still triggered by certain songs. I cannot dare listen to Boyz II Men's A Song for Mama. That was my mother's ringtone. So if I go to a wedding, I have to walk out. If that's 9 times out of 10, that's the mother son song, I walk out. So I'm still triggered. I still have emotions, but I'm also healed to a place where I want to have a good life. I want to live and celebrate them. I want to celebrate me for even being able to get to this place. And so that's what the Brighter Tomorrow Foundation as a whole, the mission is to be. And so through that, that's life coaching, that's workshops, that's courses that again, it's on my list, but I'm not trying to tackle it.
Yeah, you got
Because
to.
I'm supposed to
Yeah.
be still. But in essence, it's just a place to be able to connect with other people. And I have big visions and big dreams for what I want this to be. I hope to one day be able to do, a scholarship gala. I want to give scholarships to high schoolers that have lost parents and do that in the memory of my parents. I have big visions and goals, but as of today, right now, it's staying connected with me and staying connected with different resources that I plan to provide.
Thank you for sharing about that. And as we wrap up, we always ask if you have any takeaways for our listeners.
Any takeaways? The main takeaway for this conversation would be to take your time and don't rush the process. People tend to want to ask, well, how long does it take? And, when will I start to feel better? I can't tell you. I cannot say, okay, in 5 years, you're going to be here. In 10 years, you're going to be here. But what I do believe is that you will receive the answer to why when your heart is ready to receive that. I did not know then that I would be doing work like this today. If God would have told me at 21, all right, I took your parents, now you're going to go and help other people, I'd have been like, dude, I didn't sign up for that. I didn't ask for that. So I believe that you have to give yourself ample enough time to grieve, because we love our loved ones. We're physically missing them. We won't see them for another birthday. We won't see them for another Christmas. So you have to go through the process of grieving the absence of them, but you also have to get to a place where you want to live and you want to now do this in their memory. And you get to a place where you feel like, okay, I'm actually tired of being overwhelmed. I'm tired of being sad. You get to a point where you're almost exhausted with that and you're ready to experience something new. And so that for me, I believe, is the shift to where you begin to get intentional about your healing. But I don't know that time frame. And so I just say to you, whomever is going through a season of grief right now, because it is a season, just to take your time, give yourself the grace and the permission to handle it. Only thing I always ask is that, you're never of harm to yourself or to others, but no one can tell you how to process. But if you can get yourself in a place where you can connect with other people who get it, get the proper help if needed, if that's a therapist or a life coach, um, utilize all the resources that are made available for you to be able to get well and get to a place where you can start living again.
Thank you so much. And I want to add a resource as we wrap up. It's called the Grief and Recovery Handbook. It's a purple book, and it's suggested that you do it in community. So whether you do it with your therapist, a life coach, or a friend, whatever, but it's an excellent book. All my clients that have used it absolutely love it. I love it for myself too. And so just want to add that in. And also, thank you for joining us today. We greatly appreciate it. And I just want to remind y'all, the heart taking its time to catch up to what the mind already knows is how we are defining grief today. And that is it for this week's episode of Black Women Healing Podcast.